Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Happy Thursday! We're already cracking up, man.
Oh, man.
It's already Now, if you excuse me, I forgot to go to the bathroom before the show, so shut this off. Wait 30 seconds, and we'll re-cue the music. This could be a problem for the next 2 hours. Hey, look who's back, though.
What's up,
The
man?
most important part of the day.
How are you?
Earl the Pearl is back. Welcome
boy.
back. buddy.
Yeah,
Welcome
man.
back.
It's the first show I've done of any kind. Like, I came back Tuesday. I was upstairs in the comfort of the office watching Hulu.
Yeah.
While I was clipping this show. I do. I be watching Hulu. Y'all think I'm playing.
What you watching on Hulu?
I'm watching Godfathers of Harlem right now.
Oh, they put that on Hulu?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
You just not watching that?
No, I just like to run. I
Oh, you
rerun all
rewatch
my
it.
favorite shows.
I was just talking about that show. Like, is it going to be another season?
Yeah. No,
It
it
is?
is. It is. It's coming in April.
Oh,
April or May.
Okay.
But like it was cool, and then ironically today is 3 weeks today. I found my mother deceased at 7:04 a.m. And so, you know, kind of said something then. I brought a picture down. Like, so that's my mom. Like, that's my mom. I'm pretty sure y'all have seen my mom by now, but I ain't gonna say too much. I'll say this. I was thinking about my mother, and I was talking to my brother. You know, me and my mom had a very, very authentic relationship. Mm-hmm. Like, it was really raw. It was really real. She kept it 100 with me. I did the same. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of her, like, in me. She was fierce. She ain't really mince words. And despite, like, whatever hardship she went through in life, whatever she faced in life, like, her legacy lives on her two boys. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, my mother didn't drive. My mother, like, didn't have the greatest career. Like, you know, she worked hard, but it was just jobs, right?
Yeah.
And never missed a meal. Always had nice clothes on my back, decent shoes on my feet. Every utility was always on. She raised me and my brother to be mannerable young men. And my dad, y'all know, he drove 18-wheelers for 24 years. And so sometimes he was gone 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. And you just imagine, you know, just being a woman, dealing with everything that you're dealing with, and you trying to raise two boys at the same time. And so they always told me and my brother the true measure, you know, of a parent is if your kids turn out better than you.
Yep.
And those who know my family, know me and my brother personally, like if you know my backstory, it's almost like we didn't beat every single statistic that said we was not gonna make it.
Yep.
And so that's her legacy, and that's how I'm gonna remember her. Like, I love her. Like, the things I saw, 3 weeks ago that morning, I can't get those visions out of my head. And it's gonna be tough to work through that. But like, I feel her spirit at its purest. Like, I feel her like at her most freest. And it's almost like I got a clear vision of what my next mission is, like what I'm supposed to do next. And so it's like, I was already working on my nonprofit, Be Greater Spread Love. And I thought about how the career flip, that was like something to prove to my dad. But like this nonprofit, that's gonna be how I honor my mom in so many different ways. So again, I told y'all this yesterday, man, just seriously, like sincerely from the bottom of my heart, just thank every single last one of y'all for y'all thoughts and y'all prayers. Yeah, one last thing, shout out to the Warrensville Lady Tigers. Won the regional semifinals yesterday.
Okay.
Moving on to the Elite Eight. So congratulations to y'all. First time they've made it to this round in the last 5 years. So it was dope. But enough of that. Drop the blue and black hearts in the chat for me, man. Let's have a show.
Last thing I want to say about this, whatever hardships she had, she did an incredible job raising you. And I know when my mom lost her second parent, it was 25 years ago, she said, I feel like an orphan in this world. I don't have any parents left. And that has stuck with me for 25. I still remember that and how devastating that made me feel as a son. I don't know if you've had that feeling. I don't know if you will.
No, I do. I have it now. I have to deal with the fact that I lost my mama. I found my mama dead. I got to process all of that. And the fact that, like, it'll be 7 years when my father passed away, April 4th.
Yeah.
Their wedding anniversary is next month, March 16th. And so to be 37 and I don't have any parents in a physical sense, it sucks. And that's a different weight to carry. But like, my parents really raised me different. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
Even this whole 5 minutes that I'm going on right now is probably like, man, you're doing too much. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, you just push forward. And I know I'm not, but this is the thought process that they had. And so, like, yeah, it's tough when you think about that. And I think about my mother. Like, I'm named after my grandfather, Earl Malden. And when my grandfather passed away, my mom was 17. And by all accounts, she was devastated behind that. And so when she got pregnant with me, it was a no-brainer. She named me Earl. And I think about my mother died 2/6/2025. My grandmother, her mother, she died 2/7/1997.
Wow.
And so, you just think about, she lost both of her parents by the time she was 30. And so I can sit up here and complain about not having my parents, or I could just thank God that he loaned them to me. My dad for 30 years and my mother for 37. Take the lessons that they taught me, like keep the good, strip away the bad, be my own man, and just keep pushing forward, man, and just try to be the best version of Earl that I could be every single day of my life.
Well, you are not an orphan, brother. You got a lot of people in your life that love you, care for you, support you. And it begins with the people in this room.
Like, I love all
many
y'all.
Others.
Like, I really, really love all of y'all. Y'all are my brothers, man. Y'all have done nothing but just simply be there for me, be there for my family in y'all own way. And it's good to be back. It's good to feel all the love. I told my brother, like, it's been overwhelming for real. You know what I mean? Just wait till I say something they don't like. He'll be back to normal.
He'll be back to normal.
He'll be back to normal.
Give us about 11 minutes.
It's going to get real in a second.
Donovan is the greatest Cavalier. All out the way.
This shit about to go left in a minute, man. But seriously, I've ran into so many people just over the two and so weeks I was off.
Yeah.
And just everybody telling me, I love the show. It's good to see you out moving around. Like, perseverance is a real thing. Like, one of my favorite movies is Above the Rim.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the scene when they're walking after the movies. And she says, in life, people usually stop at the moment things stop. They either stop where things stop happening to them, or, they either move past it or they stop moving at all.
Yep.
And so I chose to keep moving. You know what I mean? Life goes on.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Well, Let's upset some people. Let's make some.
Let's piss some people off. Let's piss some people off.
Before we jump into that, Earl, we're glad to have you back, man. It has been a quiet production room without you, and one little thing from meeting your family on Thursday, but you said your mom named you Earl.
Yeah.
Or your parents named you Earl. There's like 17 Earls in Earl's family. I thought Earl was a dying breed. Just look at the Malden family. I met Earl Double Jr. I met Earl Sr. I met Earl the 5th. I met Earl the 8th. I met Earl the 11th. I know this Earl. I'm sure Earl at some point will have a baby Earl. They live on forever in the Malden family because if one thing I know for sure is that there will never be a day on this planet without someone named Earl because of your family. Great people, Earl. I'm glad to have you back, my friend.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, my family definitely enjoyed it.
How do you tell everybody apart? Like, what do you call them?
So my cousin is EJ.
Okay.
My uncle, they call him Carlton. and
like you're Pearl, right?
No, my family call me Earl. They don't call me Pearl. Like I tease my cousins.
Well, how did you wind up with the name Earl? If there's 17 Earls, how did you get to be the one that's Earl?
My grandfather and my mother, they was like this, so it was just like I'm naming my son Earl. So yeah, but I'm the last one. I don't really want nobody else to name their son Earl. Like I just want to take the name and do something great. My grandfather fought in World War II. I thought that was cool. I never met my grandfather, I just try to take it and make a legacy of it before I die.
Well, we got the best Earl right over here on the set.
Appreciate that.
Big show today. Abdul Carter has an ouchie on his foot. We're going to talk about it. The Players Association grades came out, and the Browns, believe it or not, did not score favorably coming off a 3-14 season.
I'm shocked.
And Cayleigh Griffin will join us in studio, Cavs pregame host. She's going to be doing some Guardian stuff as well this year. So we'll talk to Cayleigh about Cavs, Guardians, Cleveland State, and anything else we can think of.
Big show on deck, and let's jump right into it, guys. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action, and if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your one shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Guys, I sent the rundown out last night, and I woke up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw a text from Jason. And the text was an update from Adam Schefter saying that doctors have found a potential stress fracture in Abdul Carter's right foot, and he will need to decide whether or not to have surgery. Sources tell ESPN, quote, there are mixed opinions on whether he needs surgery. We will figure that out in the coming days. Immediately, the first thought through my mind was, well, this ruins any chance of Cam Ward falling to number 2 or Shedeur Sanders, the Browns getting both their choices at quarterback. But then a few hours later, just a little earlier this morning, Adam Schefter sent up a follow-up tweet saying, doctors told Penn State defensive end and projected #1 pick Abdul Carter that after further scans on his right foot, surgery is not advisable. Carter will work out at his pro day on March 28th, and his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, said, I couldn't be more confident that this would be a non-factor where he's drafted, end quote. Jason, Tyvis, Earl, I want to start with you on this one as your first topic back on the panel. Is this foot injury a major concern for Abdul Carter? And if it is, does he still have a chance to be the #1 pick, meaning the Browns can get their choice of quarterback at number 2?
I think it's a major concern for Abdul Carter if it impacts his draft position because it impacts his money. But, you could probably attest to this. I remember hearing stories of my cousin D. Miller. He went to the NFL Scouting Combine. Mm-hmm. And I remember he told me a story about when he showed up to the Combine, he felt totally healthy, perfectly fine. And they take you through a gauntlet of different, workouts and different tests and things like that. And sometimes things pop up that you didn't know was there. And so if this is being considered a small stress fracture and it's something that he didn't clearly play with and hasn't had any impact on his performance, then no, from a football standpoint, as of right now, I don't see how that impacts him. I think it sucks that this news came out because I know as soon as he's seen it, he's seeing his draft stock just kind of plummet. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Hour by hour, and that impacts like how much money you make where you drafted at. So for me, I think it sucks in that aspect. Now, as it pertains to the Cleveland Browns, it was just like, damn. Like, so, of course, like, I've been off the scene for a while. And so, before everything happened, I had kind of settled in on Shedeur Sanders at 2 with the thought process of Cam Ward is, without a question, is going to be the number 1 overall pick going to Tennessee. But you start seeing mock drafts pop up everywhere, like Bucky Brooks, who was on this show, like popped up with a mock draft that had Abdul Carter going number 1 among others. And it was like, okay, well, now that changes the conversation if Cam Ward is available. But now seeing that news, it was just like, damn, man. Like somebody, if it's not Tennessee, somebody's going to trade up to go get Cam Ward. And, it could be the Browns if they really like him that much. If you truly, truly like Cam Ward, and Kevin Stefanski said he feels like this is a good quarterback class. So if that's a quarterback he IDs and you are afraid of another team moving ahead of you to go get him, then you do what you got to do. But it definitely I looked at it like no matter what, Cam Ward is going number 1 to somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Tyvis, have you ever had, there's a difference in a stress reaction and a stress fracture. They're different. A reaction's not as severe as a fracture.
Okay.
It's like the first step. Have you ever had any of this? Have you dealt with this in your career?
I've not dealt with anything, and if the only thing I had some ankle sprains, I had some sports hernias, I broke my wrist. I haven't done anything, where my foot, I thought I had plantar fasciitis. That'll bring an elephant down. I don't care what nobody say. You get plantar fasciitis, it's done. But as far as a stress fracture or anything like that, I haven't had that. But I will say, going to the combine, you do go there, you feel healthy. It's like day 2 or 3. I think it's day 2 where you got to do the medical. Oh, my God. You better listen. Listen to me. You better pray that when you in college, you don't have no injuries. Because when you go to that combine and you got to go sit on 32 different doctors, because it's not just, one doctor's going to be the doctor for everybody. No. All 32 teams got their guy.
Yep.
You got to go. The Falcons want to see you. The Jacksonville Jaguars want to see you. You got to go sit on the table, get your legs bent and elbow and all this, all that, like for 32 different times. Then they're going to say, for me it was, well, you broke your wrist and you had a sports hernia. We need to get x-rays on this. So we need to send you to the hospital where you're going to go get a CT scan, an x-ray, CAT scans, any scan that you could think, MRIs, all of that. And I missed my media availability because that's what I was doing. I was supposed to go sit on the podium and talk and do all that. I couldn't do it because I was stuck at the hospital doing these scans. So when I saw this, I just was like, that it's unfortunate. Now, however, when I seen Shefty's tweet, that was Shefty that was Ian Rappaport that tweeted out that he didn't need the surgery, whatever. Whoever tweeted out. When I seen that this morning, I said to myself, first of all, I don't think Abdul Carter's going first in the draft. I just don't. Because when you look at the Tennessee Titans, they are pretty much in the same camp as the Browns. Will Levis ain't the answer. You're not going to continue to move forward with a guy that's not the answer. I know you spent the first-round pick on him a couple years ago, but clearly he just hasn't been the guy. So I think that they will move off of him for Cam Ward, so I don't think we was going to get Cam Ward anyways. However, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, I still think the Browns are in the situations where it's all about, do they believe Shedeur is that guy or not? If they think Shedeur is that guy, which I know Kevin's coming out and saying, oh, yeah, he's great, we want decision-making, all those things. However, when you go back and look at it, first of all, they're not going to come out here and say, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is not the guy. We're not looking at that. That's not what they're going to say. They will never disrespect the player in the draft. You will know how they truly feel on draft day when that number 2 pick comes up. So I think they're going to look at this for Abdul Carter, how they would look at this. I don't think people would worry about it because the talent is undeniable, how good he has been, and what he could be. It's one of those things that in the back of your mind, it might come up and we will have to address it. The question is, when we address it, what is the recovery process when it becomes a major concern? Mm-hmm. Or is it something that we see how he does his rookie year? Hey, you know what? You was a little off. We want you to go get that surgery. That happens. When I got picked up by the Browns, so I went to Seattle my rookie year. Once I got cut in the playoffs, the Browns claimed me. And when I got picked up by the Browns, they was like, we want you to have surgery on your wrist again because we want you to get the screw out. So like that's the thing. Like a team could be like, all right, you can come in, do a year, and then all right, now you in our program, let's get you this surgery because we want you to be good moving forward. It's just all about how NFL team is going to evaluate it. You know, if they feel like it's a concern, his pro day will be very telling. If he's moving fine and doing everything well, it might not be an issue.
So a couple things on this. Number one, it was a wild 12 hours. Because last night I had the same reaction. I saw it, I was like, uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, what's your text say?
It just said, "Ooh, boy."
Yeah, that's it.
And it looked like it just felt like it was trending toward it was going to be a surgery thing. And I'm one of the, I mean, listen, I'm not an athlete. It's easy for me to say. When in doubt, just have the surgery and get it taken care of. Yeah. But that's exactly, like I've talked to people and like that's the last thing you want to do.
Because once they cut you, you're not the same.
That's exactly, yes. That's what I've been, like it doesn't matter what it is, surgery is the last option. You want to do everything you can before to have the surgery. But it felt like it was sort of training that way. And then all of a sudden this morning it was, nope, everything's good, nothing to see here, everything's fine, he's going to be fine. So, and we'll just have to let this play out. Ultimately, a stress reaction, it's certainly not puts his career in jeopardy by any means. Guys play through it all the time. Yeah. And I think I tried to find it this morning. I remember Eli Manning having a stress reaction, and I couldn't remember if he had surgery or not. This is years ago. A lot of NFL players have them. And again, it's not the same as a fracture. A reaction can lead to a fracture, which is a full break in the bone. But a reaction is just like warning signs something's not right here. And it's funny, to your point about how you get poked and prodded at these things. I can't remember if I told this story on the show or not. But back when the Cavs were rebuilding, those years when LeBron was in Miami, they had a high pick, and it was the year Alex Len was coming out. And Alex had a stress fracture in his leg. And the Cavs had a terrific medical team. Like their partnership with the clinic, they have a terrific team. And when Alex was in town for his pre-draft interview and workout and all that, the Cavs said, you know what? Let's just get a look at the other leg just to be sure. Like, you got this thing going on this leg, let's look at the other leg. Yeah. He had another stress fracture in the other leg, too. And I don't know if he knew about it or not. They told him about it. And he didn't tell it. I don't think he told any other teams.
You better shut up.
So after that draft, I was talking to somebody with the Cavs who told me, like, Phoenix is in trouble. Like, they probably didn't find it. He's got another stress fracture. He's going to have surgery on that thing. And sure enough, however long later it came out, Alex Len has to have surgery on this other stress fracture in his other leg because Phoenix didn't bother to get a picture of the other leg. So that's just one example of millions of these. If you have one thing wrong with you, they are going to dissect the rest of your body.
I was on that table bending. They was pulling my arm. I had to do the wrist because the biggest thing for me was this wrist because I don't have flexibility on my wrist. You know how everybody's wrist bend down, mine go like that. Like so.
You ain't got Kobe.
Yeah, I can't. It's my right hand. So like I had to do this test. I had to do this test. Like it was just all that. How do you play with it? And I was like, well, I usually wear a cast or something like that. And it's like, okay. The Browns actually, shout out to the Browns. The Browns made me a thing to like that my wrist wouldn't go back. And it actually like extended my career for like 3 more years because I was able to actually like use my hands because it didn't hurt my wrist. So yeah, it's a lot of pushing and pulling. And like I say, you're gonna go through probably especially if you're a top pick, all 32 teams, every doctor is gonna push and pull. You're gonna do every scan and everything because they invested in $20 million in you. They got to make sure that they getting what they want.
The thing specifically with Abdul Carter, to me, it's one more thing. If you weren't sure about him, it's one more thing because he's a little undersized. Like what, 6'3", 250-ish?
He weighed in at 248 yesterday.
Okay, that's a little on the small side for defensive end.
He's an edge rusher. He needs to go if he goes to a 3-4, it doesn't matter.
Well, and Andrew Berry was asked, is he big enough to be impactful in this league? Is he big enough to do this? And of course, as you said earlier, AB is not going to go, nope, too small, too small. Of course they're going to say yes, but AB said yes, he's big enough. But again, like because that's what you do is you put these guys up, and now you're poking holes in them because you're about to give them $40 million or whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
So you gotta be sure. So you gotta poke as many holes in there, and then see if you can fill the holes. So you put them up on the wall. You're gonna start poking holes. Okay, he's a little small. Okay, we had one good year. okay, well, now he's got this thing in his foot. So if you're looking for reasons not to like Abdul Carter, you can find him. But you can probably say that for just about any prospect.
And I think that's why the tone of the tweet that we seen this morning was changed. Because I was just about to say, like, I wonder what the backdoor politics was like. Like, you know, how much money was shoved in backdoors within the last 12 hours.
I mean,
hey,
listen,
y'all done went from reporting this. Y'all can't be putting this out here about this man now. An hour before we started the show, we seeing tweets that's kind of walking back.
The crazy thing about him is literally everybody talks about all these negative things, but then you go ask anybody who's the best prospect in this draft.
Abdul Carter.
They say him.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but again, like, but it's almost like you need devil's advocate. Like, you have to be sure on this. You can't just blindly say, okay, well, that's our guy, because that's what everybody says.
Trust me, I get why they doing all of this, and I get the concern. But like, I think it was Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin was coming out in the draft, and they said that his medical stuff was so bad that man won't last 2 years in the league. And I think New England was like, nah, we still going to draft him. And obviously Curtis Martin went on to have
terrific career.
Great career.
Yeah.
But, like, it just depends on the doctor. If the doctor look at it and says it's really not that bad, which obviously they cleared their tone on that. And like I say, in pro day, he's moving fine. It's just one of those things that, listen, the talent is so undeniable, we'll deal with it, you know, when it comes up, or we'll take care of that in the offseason when he's in our building.
To your point, Earl, what you said earlier, agents have basically commandeered the Twitter accounts of these newsbreakers, and are basically telling these guys what. And listen, like, I know all about the world. I live in the world. I wouldn't want nothing to do. They get paid a lot of money, but it's a different world, man.
Well,
when you're in that newsbreaker world,
they were saying
it's a different existence.
one of his options is he would have to get a screw in his foot for like 8 weeks.
It was an 8-week recovery. Yeah. And again, that my initial reaction was, well, 8 weeks is May. Just have the surgery.
Yeah.
Just have it.
I thought, but listen, I had a screw on my wrist. The screw is now out of the wrist because the bone that it was saving is deteriorated. It's gone. It's not existent. And then the screw starts sticking out. Now you're tearing cartilages in my wrist. That's why the Browns wanted me to get it out. They was like, the bone, your scaphoid is gone. So now the screw is sticking out and it's tearing the cartilages in your wrist. So you got to get that out.
Yeah.
So like, same thing with his foot. If he saves it, or if he don't save it, at some point he keeps moving it around. That screw wiggles around and sticks out. Boom, he's gonna have to go back in there and get it out anyway. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of him getting the screw in there to begin with.
So ultimately, do you think he falls because of this?
No. Nope.
Earl?
I think the talent is too good.
You know, I think Tyvus was right. He was never going to be the number 1 overall pick anyway. So it's hard to say he falls. I think this is just smoke screen because they're clearly taking Cam Ward. I think it's going to be Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders that go 1 and 2. I don't think he falls nowhere past 5.
How is Myles the last non-quarterback to go? No, Aiden Hutchinson, right? Who's the last number 1?
No, Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker.
Yeah. So it happens more than you think that a non-quarterback goes 1.
Is Will Levis the guy? From what you see?
No.
All right.
But I would rather have.
Okay.
But how many years has Levis been in the league?
This will be year 3.
This will be year 3 for him.
Correct.
So are we really going to declare after 2 years if a guy
Josh
can play
Rosen
or not?
got 1 year.
Josh Rosen needed about 20 minutes. I mean, that was bad.
No, Jason making a good point. Like, can you really declare a quarterback not good
if you're
after
Tennessee,
2 years? Like,
if you're Tennessee and you invested, where did Levis go? He was top 10, wasn't he?
Early second-round pick.
He was early second?
I thought he went first.
Early second-round
I thought
pick.
he was like 10 or 11th.
34th.
All right, well, that's different. That actually, to me, that makes it different.
Okay, so what you doing?
Man. I thought he was
33rd. Sorry, excuse me. 33rd
Kiss it
pick.
goodbye. Kiss Cam Ward goodbye.
It is 2 years feels like a rush, but I mean, guys get less and less time now.
Like, it don't make sense for them to go the veteran route.
This is the thing.
Unless you're going
This is the part that we're not saying. Who's the head coach at Tennessee?
Callahan.
Who picked Will Levis?
Not Callahan.
All right, there
Not
we go.
the GM who's there.
How
That's a
many
good
more
point.
years does Callahan got until he on the hot seat?
No, you got a good point.
I got it. Listen,
Hey,
they
last year
gave
what-
me a deal. If this thing don't look good next year, guess what? Hey.
I know
what?
Callahan
We
was
love
caught on
to-
camera fussing at him a couple times during the season last year too. So
Yeah.
that's a good point. But yeah, I think it's gonna be quarterbacks going 1 and 2. I mean, neither team is in a situation to where you can say, okay, a veteran quarterback is going to help steer this ship, because it's not. Andrew Berry didn't say the Browns can't afford, to play top money to a veteran quarterback. This is the situation. These the breaks.
No, he said they can.
He said they can?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I stand corrected. He said they can, but I doubt if they will.
I don't know if you want to keep throwing money down that hole.
Nah.
So who's getting restructured? How many more years we got to pay this year?
They are about out of. I think they're out
equity.
They're about out of leverage. The Browns are, I think. But I don't know. I go back and forth. I still tend to think Abdul Carter could go number one. I think if he doesn't, I think if the Titans stay at one, they're going to take him. How about that?
Take who?
Abdul Carter.
You want to bet?
Nope. But I do think that this widens the range or widens the possibility of a team trading up to one to get it. We talked on the show before about I couldn't find anyone.
This is the part that gets me. You don't believe in Will Levis.
No.
You understand that this Callahan did not take him. And you understand that if Callahan has another bad year that he...
I don't know if they're going to fire Callahan after... Well, this would be 3 years.
His second year. No, second. His first year was last year.
I thought this was his third year.
So if they finish with the number one pick next year...
Oh, that's right, because he replaced Vrabel. Yeah.
If they finish with the number one pick next year, they're not going to look at Callahan?
Well, if you get the number one pick 2 years in a row, you're probably gone. But how often does that happen unless you're the Browns? Like, you have to intentionally. The Browns were trying to get the number one pick.
You see that Tennessee is also like they let their best defensive player seek a trade.
Shopping them. Yeah.
This is
It's interesting.
He's like cleaning house and getting his people in there. It's kind of what's going on right now.
But again, I've said this 100 times. It comes down, if you don't like the quarterback, you can't take a quarterback just to take a quarterback.
Well, he's the only good one out.
It doesn't make any sense. If you look at a guy, and I'm not saying they do or don't, but if you look at a guy and you're like, man, that ain't it. How could you possibly take him at one? How could you do that? Because that's what you do in fantasy drafts. Well, let me pull out the magazine and look. I need a quarterback. Who's out there? All right, well, give me that guy. Like, can we be a little bit better than that in a billion-dollar industry? Like, can we have scouts? And can we have an evaluation of a guy and say whether he can play or not?
I think you go.
They said that he is as good as Michael Penix.
Who?
Greg
Ward.
Cosell said that.
Cam Ward. They said he's head and shoulders above everybody else.
Listen.
How can y'all sit on this panel and say we can't do nothing unless without a quarterback? No. Then have a chance to draft a quarterback and then not take the quarterback.
But if your scouting department, whether they're lying or not, can at least look at the owner and say, yeah, that's the guy. Okay, take him.
I understand that.
But that's my only point. If your scouting department doesn't like him, if your team comes to the conclusion this is not for us.
Oh, well, they don't take him.
How can you take him?
I wouldn't.
That's the only point I'm making.
I would take
Not
Abdul
every
Carter.
quarterback fits every franchise. Not every quarterback is worthy of going number one or two.
Speaking of franchises, we got a report card back about each individual NFL franchise.
You look like my report card from high school.
And it was not pretty. We're going to get to the NFLPA report
Browns
card in
have
a
ADD,
second.
like I did.
But a quick reminder that next month, 1 month and 1 day from today, we are doing our second comedy night at Hilarities on East 4th. The ticket link is on and in the YouTube chat pinned.
No.
I'm trying to talk Jason into doing a little bit of a stand-up set, so maybe we can get Jason added to the roster. But get your tickets. All money goes to charity, Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Ohio. We hope to see you guys there on March 28th at 9:30 p.m. at Hilarities. Tickets cost $20. All money goes to charity.
You know, I just go ahead. I just realized something.
You're good. What?
I won't be there. That's the NFL owners meetings is in Florida then.
Well, Jason will not be there then.
So I will not be on stage.
I'm still going to roast Jason. Don't you dare think that he's getting out of a joke here. But speaking of the NFLPA report cards, these came out yesterday. The Browns, let's just say they did not score particularly high.
They have a GPA of about 2.2.
Yeah, they might be looking to transfer schools.
C's get degrees now.
Here we go.
C's get degrees.
Let's
So
run
do
through the
D's.
entire report card. If you guys have any questions on it, I have the explanations for each category. And let's go list by list, and I want to focus on one to start. But the Browns, in terms of family treatment, got a D+. That was 28
That's messed up.
out of 32.
That's been a sore spot for years.
That's
For the
messed
food,
up.
and let me run through all these, then we can pick
All
and
right,
choose which
okay,
one to talk
okay,
about.
go
For
ahead.
food and dining, they got a C-. That ranked 26 out of 32. Their nutritionists/dietitians got a B-. That ranked 26 out of 32. Their locker room got an F-. Didn't know that was possible. That ranked 31st in the NFL. Their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, got a C. That ranked 30th for team travel. They got a D. That ranked 28th. Keep moving on, Steve. They got a D+ for their training room. That was 31st. They got a C- for their training staff. That was 32nd. Their weight room did get an A. They just redid that. That
all
ranked
right.
8th in the NFL. Their strength coaches
like
got a
an
B+.
A
That was 19th in the league. Ownership, Jimmy Haslam, got a C+, 22nd overall. And for their overall ranking, their culmination of all these grades, they got a overall ranking of 30th out of 32. I want to start with the Kevin Stefanski head coach, and then we can pick and choose the rest. But of all the NFL head coaches that were graded, Stefanski came in third last. Matt Eberflus, dead last, got fired. Doug Peterson, the Jaguars, 31st, he got fired. And Stefanski, the three coaches that got C's, 29 and 28. Dennis Allen also got fired in New Orleans. And then surprisingly, John Harbaugh of the Ravens, who did not get fired, came in at 28th on this list.
What did John have? Did he have a C too?
B-.
B-. Okay. Oh, the only 3 C's were Stefanski, Peterson, Eberflus,
The bottom
right?
3, correct.
Yeah.
So let's start with the head coach. Is it an indictment on Stefanski that his players voted? And I should mention the 2 things that they were asked to grade upon were how receptive he is to feedback and how efficient he is with his time. And that's what they got a C were. So is it an indictment on Stefanski that he got a C here, Jason? Or can we not take anything too harshly when it comes to player graded report cards?
No, I think you have to look at everything, and if that's how the players feel, then that's valid. I made the point yesterday when we were talking about this. Yeah, they're 3-14. He's lucky he got a C. Probably should be lower than that. And Bull pushed back and said he listed all the other coaches who had bad years, and their coaches graded out better with their players than what Kevin did, and that's fair. I mean, last year they won 11 games. He got a B-. This year they win 3 and he gets a C. So I do think record plays into how players feel. And last year was a bad year. Like, the season was over in October, guys. We talked about it at the time. When they lost that game at Washington, to me, that ended the season. And I remember writing and tweeting, well, the Guardian season lasted longer than the Brown season this year because it's over. And going into the bye week, I was talking to guys who were kind of like looking around doing the Ricky Bobby, I don't know what to do with my hands because I've never been in this position before, that our season is shot and we haven't even carved the pumpkins yet at home. So we got 2 more months to go. This was a death march for everybody involved. And from the front office to the coaching staff to the players, everybody felt it. I wasn't around for the winless season. I wasn't around for the 1-win season. I was covering the NBA. I can't imagine that felt much or any worse than what I saw this year, just because of what expectations were, just because of what you thought you had with the quarterback and everything else, and then how it actually turned out to be. It was a really, really hard year for everybody involved. So I totally get why he would get a C. In terms of the 2 that you mentioned, using time wisely, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how we can judge that.
Using time wisely and receptive to player feedback.
So that one's interesting to me, the receptive to player feedback, because Kevin
And he got a moderate. I looked up who finished first in that category. It was Dan Quinn this year.
Uh-huh.
He got an extremely receptive. Kevin got a moderate. So that was the difference between an A+ in that category and a C.
But what are the levels? Like extremely receptive and then good and then moderate?
Those were the 2 I looked at.
Okay.
I'll look for more, but
no, it's
those were
fine.
the 2 I looked at.
But the thing that's interesting about that is he has an advisory council, if you will, like some of the veterans that are supposed to be there to take grievances or whatever.
They checked out too.
And then that council is supposed to bring it to him.
Yep.
Now, I wrote the story after the season about how he wasn't calling guys out and he wasn't calling Deshaun out in film sessions. So I wonder if that part plays into some of this, in that I believe they were trying to cover and protect Deshaun, even within the team. They were trying to build him up. And I wonder how much that plays into what you see in these
Are
grades.
you serious? That you know what? He should have got an F. You know why? Because this is the players coming out and saying, you chose one over the rest of us. That's what this is about. That's why this season was what it was. Yeah, when you 3-14, everybody's and the whole thing stinks. Like coming in to work every day, it stinks. But I think that this is their reason. They're saying, like, listen, you're not about to sit here and call me out in front of my peers, but you ain't gonna say nothing to this dude. Like, no, we all together. I don't care how much money he making. He might need to hear it too. So they probably felt some type of way about those things. And like I said, if you losing like that, like it's nothing a coach can really say that's inspiring or motivating especially when you know like the season's done. Because it was done, you say in October.
Oh. I don't know what the date was.
That's a little harsh.
No, it was done.
It was a little harsh.
No, it's not. Mike,
was
what week was the Commanders game?
Week 4.
They were 2-4, right? Or no, 1-3?
Let me confirm it. I don't think it was week 4.
Because I thought it was later than that.
The Eagles was week 4. No, the Raiders. It was week 5. I was in between.
So they were 1-4.
The Raiders week 4. Then they played the Commanders in week 5.
And they were 1-4 after that?
They
were 1-4 at that time, correct?
Yeah, season's over. They're done.
Will you stop?
I'm serious. They're done.
The season. No, because
how many teams come back from 1-4 to have a successful season?
Jameis came in and won the game, and
Lord.
everybody was like, "Oh, they gonna win out."
Not everybody.
The Kevin part of it.
Not everybody.
The Kevin part.
And then on top of that, he kind of let the wheel go. Like I went from being the play caller to be like,
you and Jameis, how many people were screaming for this man to give up the play calling? Then he gives up the play calling.
You should have gave
now you kill him anyway.
it up at the beginning of the year. Don't wait till when things go bad to give it up now. Everybody was mad at Baker for sitting there not getting surgery, and then after the last game, I'm gonna go get that surgery. That's like the same thing.
You know what's crazy though? I think like when I seen this report card, the Kevin Stefanski part in itself. First of all, I thought Kevin should have been fired. We can't do nothing about that. He's here now, but it shows that Jimmy Haslam has more faith in Kevin than his own damn players do. And I just think that they're souring on him. I think they're losing faith in him and his message and how he goes about things. When as a leader, and your team comes back and say, you know what, I don't think you're receptive to feedback. It says that as a leader, you're not open to open communication. You know, it's all about what you say, what you do. That's how it reads to me. I'm not saying that's how it is, but clearly what used to click and what used to be effective is no longer that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what happened surrounding Deshaun Watson and how he carried himself about the play calling situation, et cetera, it turned players sour towards him. And that's the main reason why I felt like the Browns should have moved on. I think as we go through this report card, for me, the key base for me and everything I'm going to argue is going to be relationships and how the Browns seem to don't value relationships, right? You know, you look at the D+ when it comes to the treatment of families.
That's ridiculous.
How in the hell do you expect me to show up and play hard for your organization where you won't even properly take care of the people that matter to me?
I need to know why that's a D+.
Well, we'll get to that one second. I want to go back to one thing that you said. I was talking to a coach in Indianapolis who said it's really hard to get it. When you lose guys, it's almost impossible to get them back.
Yeah.
And Tyvus, you can speak to this. And the point the guy I was talking to was making was, like, when you go like this and you're down, it's really hard to keep them when you come. But they did it once with Kevin. Like 2 years ago, they had a bad year, and they pulled it back in. They ran it all together, and they won 11 games. And now they're back down again. And the question was, can he pull this back out again? It's really hard to do. Once you're down and once you lose guys, it's really hard to pull them back in.
Just think about this, though, right? Because, like, a lot of the times we have these conversations, we try to mesh real life to sports. And these are relationships that we're talking about. Kevin Stefanski compromised his integrity based on how he chose to handle Deshaun Watson. And because of that, it had a negative impact on his relationship with a lot of the other players that's inside that locker room. Now, if you take away that we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, right, and you put that in your own life, exactly how often are you going to let people continue to play with you? You know what I'm saying? Once they compromise their integrity with you, how long are you going to continue to ride that roller coaster ride with somebody in your life, whether it be an associate, a family member, etc., right? So when you think about how would you handle that situation and then you look at that, that was the biggest reason to me why I thought the Browns should have moved on from Kevin Stefanski, because everything else aside, when you compromise your integrity, it makes it hard to have a positive impact in said relationship.
I think there was an organizational mandate in how to go about handling Deshaun, period.
I don't disagree.
Which covers,
I don't disagree.
yeah. Right or wrong.
I don't disagree.
But
it was the wrong choice, though.
Yeah, it was. To the family room thing, that's really interesting to me.
I can't believe.
But this has been a complaint for years.
Well, they better fix it.
And the big, because I've talked to plenty of coaches who've come through that building who are now elsewhere, coaches, execs, whatever. And one of the things, the wives are upset that they don't have like a great space to go to in the stadium on game day. Now, as you know, the last thing you want is an angry wife as a player when you got to come home. You just got your ass beat. You come home.
Now you
got to
hear
about that. So, and this has been raised to ownership, and I don't believe it's been. I don't think it's been fixed.
They don't have a lounge like a.
Well, I don't think
lounge?
that they have one that. I think that there's probably a gathering spot for them, but it's not what some of the other teams have.
The good news is in 4 years they'll have one.
Well, we'll see.
This is according to an article. This is from Mary Kay. This is from Mary Kay Cabot. This was the summary of her article when it came to the treatment of families. The players believe that the coaches' families are treated better than the players' families. For example,
wait a minute. Say that one more time.
The players believe.
Oh, real quick. This is not from Mary Kay. This is from the actual NFLPA report card. She just copied this from.
Well,
this
I'm reading the article.
Exactly
What I'm saying, I'm reading the article from MaryKayCabot.com.
This is from the players' report card.
Right, but this is from there, and this is what it says. The players believe that the coaches' families are treated better than the players' families.
Well,
for example, coaches' families have a post-game meetup inside the stadium, while the players' families meet in a tent in a parking lot.
And that came from what the players told the NFLPA when filling out the report.
And there's, I was talking to someone who used to work there who said like,
you justifying it?
This is before this is before the weight room renovation. This is a few years ago that like the weight room for the staff was better than the players' weight room.
I don't know what the staff's weight room looks. I mean, as you know, I've been there and I've used the weights and been in there and all those things. My only complaint about it was the locker room was terrible.
Okay, I was surprised by the F- on the locker room. What is terrible about it? Because I thought it was like.
So here's what the NFLPA report card said.
But I haven't been in a ton of NFL. I'm talking Berea, not the stadium. I'm talking the Berea.
I'm talking Berea too.
Okay, all right.
Here's
what
the report card said. Then Dive, is you tell us if this is a fair, accurate representation. They came in 31st out of 32 teams in locker room for an F-. According to the NFLPA report card, 39% of players feel they have enough room in their individual lockers, ranking 32nd out of 32nd, which means 61% feel they do not have enough room.
So they're not wide
29% of
they
players
on top
feel
of
the
each
locker
other.
room is adequate size, meaning 71% feel the locker room is too small compared to other locker rooms across the NFL.
That's a fact. That's exactly how.
I haven't been in a ton of it.
I went into Seattle, right? Seattle's got this massive locker room. It's a bunch of space. You got your own little cubicle, and they next to each other, but you got enough space. And I went to the Browns, and I walked in there, and I said, "It's about as big as this room." Like, what is it?
Oh, it's bigger than this.
Hey,
I'm exaggerating, but it's
do it
small.
this way. Compare it to cities. Seattle Seahawks locker room would be compared to which city in Cleveland?
Seattle's locker room in Cleveland, it would be because it's not the nicest thing. Like Jerry's World was ridiculous.
I
like
was
Jerry
told,
World, like Pepper Pike or something.
Okay,
like
so
that.
that's
like,
Pepper Pike.
Miami's the same way.
Yeah, they stuff is ridiculous. Seattle is like it's like Shaker.
So what's Cleveland's?
55th. Some man's down on 55th. Nah, it's just because it is small in there. Like it's not a lot of space. Like you are on top of each other, and it's like in Seattle, it's a big opening in the middle. Don't get me wrong, the Browns got something, but it's not that big.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
It's just not that
You're
big.
Right. You're right.
And I don't know, like it's just the whole their facility is just not that great.
What's funny is they've renovated that thing 16
I know
times.
they need to just do it over.
Well,
they
they
need
bought
to do
up
the whole thing over.
They bought up all that
and I
land.
know they're not going to do because they just did the weight room, but like
well, they bought
they
up
got
all
to do
the.
that because they ain't even got a 100-yard indoor. Like that still
No, they
bothers
don't.
me to
Yeah.
this day.
It's,
like,
was it
you
40, 50?
No, it's 70 or 80. It's like I think it's 80. I think it's 80 yards.
Okay.
I just look at the, like Mike, when I look at the ownership grade, when I look at the head coach grade, when I look at the treatment of families grade, that just shows an organization that lacks the value of relationships. And when you lack the value of relationships, you don't have a strong culture.
But this is also an organization that spends more money than anybody.
But that's the thing, though.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like I think we like had this blur over us that because Jimmy spends money, he's a good owner.
No,
You know what
nobody
I mean?
said that.
Yeah, but
Nobody said that.
But yeah, we've said that on this show in the past.
Don't you
So
be lumping me in
maybe
with
not
that.
you, but I'm just saying, like,
Don't you put that on me, Ricky?
when you peel the layers back and you look at it, it takes more than spending money to be considered a good owner. It takes more than any of that to be, considered quote unquote good. Clearly, the ownership is not listening to the players. The head coaches is not listening to the players. Like the whole how families is treated, that stood out bigger than anything to me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because you paying these guys millions of dollars to come in here and to make not just a physical and mental investment, but an emotional investment. How in the hell can I emotionally invest in winning for your organization and you're not even taking care of and treating the people that matter to me fairly? What makes that? What about that makes me want to get up and like go run through a brick wall for anybody in this organization where my wife, my kids, and anybody that's here to see me, they got to stand outside in a damn tent while the owners and everybody else and the coaching staff families, they get this little luxury lounge. Like
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And so to me,
But they say they would tell you throw another zero at the end of it.
right, and it's cool. So when you say, okay, well, Jimmy spends money, they got an A in the locker rooms, right? We've said time and time on this show, it looks like from the outside looking in that the Browns are better at promo, spending money, and creating this facade like they're trying to win than actually putting in the work to actually win.
Well,
it just looks that way.
He desperately wants to win, but the only way he knows how to win is to just throw money at things.
No, that's not. That's not. It's more to that. Like yes, money brings in some great talented players, but if they don't mesh with everything that's going on, then that talented player is not going to be that talented guy.
And it's my understanding that over the years that they have brought these issues to ownership about the no space for the wives and
29.
And the answer was, well, there's nowhere to put them. Like it is what it is with the
You can
stadium.
kick the coaches' wives out and put the players' wives
But
out.
you
Or
know
they
what?
could mingle together. Why can't the coaches and players hang out all the time in practice? They can't do it. Their
Man,
families can't mingle.
A good owner would hear that and would make whatever accommodation necessary to make sure that these players are appeased with how their families is being treated. Like you can come up with any excuse in the world not to do something, but just like anything else in this world, if you truly want to do something, you're gonna find a way to get it done.
And especially in markets like Cleveland where you have to go over and above on family amenities to get people to want to be here. And the Cavs, I think, have done a really good job with that. The Cavs have a room for families and for small kids where the moms can take the kids during games. They can activities. They get, that's the type of stuff that matters to. Especially, I mean, if you're a young single guy, it doesn't matter. But if you're married and you got a family,
You got kids, yeah.
That makes
But,
a big
but
difference.
even if you're young and single, man, you probably love your mama and your grandmama, and your
Yeah.
mama and your grandmother is showing up to
Yeah.
come watch you ball.
Yeah, you're right.
And let you treat your mama and your
Outside
grandmama
in
a
the tent.
certain type of way.
In Cleveland?
That young man is gonna remember that, and that might make the difference if he chooses to re-up with you or not.
Let me ask you guys one question. We're going to move on and talk some Cavs Celtics. What is the end goal of the NFLPA doing this? Is it to try and get some of the owners to see how the players feel to make necessary changes?
Yeah.
Yes, to
Do
get
you
the
think
players
it's
a voice.
effective?
It's to embarrass them.
Do you think it's effective in doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they get a new weight room? They got a new weight room last year. So, I mean, it's not like they see these things and don't care. Like, they trying to address. Like I said, the thing should be fixed in 29. They should have enough space to put the fan coaches' wives here and the players' wives here and their kids, and kids.
Well, there's enough space over there to put everything all in one, but they're not going to do that. They're keeping the facility in Berea.
I know. They got to knock that thing down and start over. I'm sorry.
Their whole report card thing, sometimes we can make too much over it. But when I look at the Browns and I look at these different, scales, and then I think about Joe Bitonio pondering retirement, former captain on this team, right? Same thing. We don't know what the Nick Chubb free agency thing is.
You
Former
can't blame
captain.
him, huh?
Myles Garrett, captain, want to be traded. Denzel Ward saying, if Myles out, I'm out. Like, and then you see this report card, the math start mathing to you.
Math is mathing.
It is worth mentioning that Bulls poverty franchise got an F and Cleveland's still better than the Bengals in that regard. All right, guys, let's talk some Cavs. Tomorrow night, you guys asked, we will deliver. You wanted a live post-game show after the Cavs-Celtics game, so I will be going live at the aftermath of the fourth meeting this season between the two best teams in the East. Jason, I didn't even tell you, are you around tomorrow night? Probably not. Maybe so.
Tomorrow night, I'm on a plane to Europe tomorrow night.
So Jason will not be joining me tomorrow, so I'm going to put in a poll in the YouTube chat who you want me to try and get on to help me break down the Cavaliers-Celtics matchup, which is where we are going to start our next conversation. But live post-game show coming tomorrow. Jason Tyvis Earl, in the last 2 years, dating back to the playoff series against Boston and the one regular season matchup in Boston this season, the Cavaliers have yet to win at the Garden. They've beaten Boston here in Cleveland. They have not beaten Boston in Boston. Tyvis, I want to start with you. Do the Cavs have to beat Boston in Boston on Friday night to prove they're legitimate contenders and can take down Boston in a playoff series in the Celtics or on the Celtics home court?
Do they have to win? Like, is this a must-win game? Is that what you're saying? Because that's
not a must-win, but
I'm about to say that's preposterous.
Do they have to prove to themselves they can beat Boston in Boston still?
Yes, they do. I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna have to go there and win. Yes, they will have the home court advantage and all those things. But you're going to have to win on the road at some point. You know, you got to slay that demon. So, yeah, it would be to me, this would be a big test to see how they show up and how they show out. I mean, you got guys, this is pretty much the team will be healthy, right? I don't know anybody that's not playing. I know Jaylen Brown didn't play. And on top of that, they just lost to the Pistons, too. Yeah, yes, the Cavs better come out there and win this game. And you're going to get Boston's best shot because they lost to the Pistons. So what you really want to do is really win in their building while they mad to let them know in the playoffs this is what it is. Y'all had y'all moment last year, but it's us now. It's our time now. I'm sorry. It's our time now. Y'all done got these changes. Y'all done went out and got these other players, DeAndre Hunter. All of these things, it should come together. Y'all should really, really find a way to win this game. There really is no excuses in this one. Yeah, you got to be able to win on the road.
That was nice, but you wrong. Like, it'll be cool for morale, but don't act like we go into the Garden tomorrow, bro, and we beat the Celtics, and it's some defining moment for the Cavs season.
No, that's why I said it's preposterous to think that it's a must-win game. But they haven't done it.
Yeah, so what? But it's like, even if they go in there and lose,
you gotta get your feet wet.
If they go in there, let's say they go in there and win, right? It's late February. I don't really think that's gonna have that much of an impact on you going into the Garden, say in May. You know what I mean? When you try to go go to the finals. No.
So you telling me
I don't. I think if we lose this game, it's not gonna have no type of impact on when we get to the playoffs. And we got to go to the Garden.
I don't. The mind is different. It works different.
I don't.
The thing is, if I go somewhere and have some success, I can say, I had success there. I know I can do it. I know we can do it.
For sure.
If I ain't never did it. When was the last time you said they beat them there?
I could look up. I know they lost the 3 games in the postseason in Boston. They lost the 1 regular season game in Boston.
I just look at it like this, man.
It's been a while.
At this point,
it's been a while.
All the Cavs need to do is stay consistent in what they're doing and stay healthy. Win or lose Friday night in Boston, be damned. But I think even if they win, again, it's good for morale, but it's not going to do anything to help them come playoff time once they get to Boston and they got to play in that type of atmosphere and that environment where the intensity level is much, much higher.
It's going to be like that Friday.
I just think that they need to stick to their business, do what they got to do, go out there and just play a game.
You got to slay that demon
at
some point.
I don't think if they lose to the Celtics in Boston that it does anything to have a negative impact on what's going on.
Here's the thing. I don't think winning tomorrow slays the demon.
Yeah, it does.
You got to win in May.
That's true, too. It's going to be more intensified, but to at least say I had some success there.
Yeah, I mean,
that was like the Garden.
It
was like Madison Square Garden. They never, we can't win in the Garden. Then they finally did it, and then it's like not even a thing anymore.
The last time the Cavs won in Boston was October 28th, 2022.
22-23 season, so 2 years ago. Now, I've been to Boston for too many regular season games to count. It's a great environment for a regular season game, especially for a big game like this one coming up. It's great. Boston in February in a regular season and Boston in May ain't no comparison between the two. There is no one is not like the other.
You better learn how to silence a crowd.
But my point is, and that's playoff basketball in the NBA in general. Just playing Boston in February and playing Boston in May is two completely different monsters. So you can go in there and win this game. I'm kind of with Earl. You can go in there and win this game. It ain't going to matter come May. You ain't going to walk in there and go, hey, you remember on February 28th, we beat this team here. Ain't going to have any – when that crowd gets going.
You know what the speech would be? We've already been here. We've already slayed this dragon. So we know we can do it. To where we ain't did it since October 22nd of 2022.
No, it ain't.
So if they lose this game Friday, they're not gonna have any confidence or believe that they can't go in there and win.
I'd be worried about the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah.
They win this game, and you can attest to this.
Yep.
Mike can attest to this. They win this game. They win this game. Donovan is gonna give the speech before we play in the playoffs. When we beat Boston in February, that don't matter. I don't give a damn about that.
He probably will say that.
It ain't gonna have nothing to do with it.
But if they lose this game, I will be concerned.
But
I will be concerned about the playoffs.
I have always been like dismissive of the regular season, but there have been, I think because this is a new team that is emerging.
Especially how they got did the last time they played.
There have been moments, there have been games this season that have been milestone marker moments for this team.
I agree.
Oklahoma City, Golden State.
See, the Oklahoma City thing bothers me because they did it the one, then
got smoked in that case.
Yeah, but
that's that's not. No.
But if you beat the brakes off the best team in the West,
did they beat the brakes off of them?
What, here?
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Was the win by more or was the loss by more? Which one was worse?
I'm just saying. If you done it,
because the loss, I was looking like this is a shame. This game was over in the first quarter.
if they go into Boston tomorrow night and they win by 20,
I feel great.
That's a statement. But that's different than winning by 2.
That's my point.
Even if they win by 20, I don't think it has no impact in May.
Boy, if they go out there and beat Boston by 20 tomorrow in Boston, you going to be like, bro, we going to the finals. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
That's true.
Thank you.
That's true.
So stop it.
How you
Why y'all sit here acting like this?
We got
I feel like that right now. No, I'm talking about him because he's so emotional and overreactionary.
I feel like that right now. I don't need to be Boston to feel like
that.
No, we got Todd Jerome. I don't need no. That's all I got.
Did you see what Chris Stapp did to Evan last time?
What they got to do with Todd Jerome?
Ty Jerome played the last time.
Ty Jerome is the greatest Cab to ever live. There will be a statue of Ty Jerome.
Played the last time the Celtics played. They lost.
Oh, by the way, hold on. I made a mistake. They won game 2 last year in Boston. That's my bad. They won game 2 last year in Boston.
McNuggets is.
Hand up my bad.
McNuggets is
the whole time. The whole time it don't even matter. The whole time.
McNuggets is drunk.
I didn't remember that either. I thought they lost.
Hand up my bad. I thought it was game 3. Hand up my bad.
The whole argument just is irrelevant. Now it's all irrelevant now. It's all irrelevant.
We can talk Todd Jerome now, I guess.
The whole thing's irrelevant.
The whole thing don't even matter.
If they won there in the playoffs, then the whole thing's irrelevant.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Hand up my bad. I totally misread that wrong. Shout out to the chat for correcting me.
I thought.
Bad job, Adam.
I didn't think they won there last year.
I didn't either.
It was game 2.
It was game. Yeah. It was game 2.
So Donovan went crazy.
We was at Sweetport Wilson's that game.
I still never been there.
When did Donovan get hurt? Game
Probably
3.
It must have been game 3 because he had 29 in game 2 to lead all scorers.
I think it was game 3.
Yeah.
He hurt the calf.
That was the game. Game 2 was the
4 and
game.
5.
He started off facilitating, getting everybody else involved, and then I think he ended up with like 29.
Well, that's totally my bad, guys. I was dead ass convinced that they lost game 2 and they won
We just
game
wasted
3.
15 minutes.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I got to
job
start
by
double
me.
checking your work, man.
No, that is bad by me. Like bad. I will start with the game in general. Darius is game time decision. So is Jaylen Brown. If those two guys, you had to pick one, who would be a bigger loss to their team if they're unable to play tomorrow night? Who would it be, Jason?
Jaylen be a bigger loss.
I agree.
Yeah, we got Todd Jerome.
Oh, here we go.
I mean,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All emotions back. I'm back now. We got Todd Jerome.
No,
Listen.
Boston's predicated on the way that Jaylen and JT. Boston goes as Jaylen and JT.
Well, I mean, it would. it would make it easy. The matchups would be more easier because what made Boston so hard is pause. What made them so difficult to face was that they stop it, Earl. What made them so difficult is that they had both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who was both 6'7" guys, that we didn't have the people to match that. If Jason Tatum is the only guy that's going to be that size, pause, that's going to be 6'7", Earl, lock in, bro. Lock in. It's going to be 6'7". I mean, Hunter should do a great job defending him, so we should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Like, we got size now. We got legit size now. You got a two-way and Hunter that can defend and go get you 19. And then now you can deploy more lineups like with trees. I think they had a lineup out there the other day with a Coral, Dean Wade, Hunter,
and Mobley.
Like,
Sheesh.
you know, you can deploy more lineups like that. Darius Garland don't play again. Like, I'm being funny, but I'm not. We got Ty Jerome, right? I felt like Ty Jerome was a X factor that was missing last year. You got your backup point guard who's a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year, and this is a dude that can score, he can defend, he can facilitate.
It's gonna be interesting.
And it allows you to get other guys off ball. So, and you know, he said it himself, like he's been given more freedom with Kenny Atkinson to really show everything that he can do. And it's like, you know, if DG is out, I'm just more confident that we don't miss a beat. Mm-hmm. Without Jaylen Brown, they definitely miss a beat.
They lost by. Did they lose by 20 last? They was losing by 20 when I looked at it. I don't know what the final.
The Celtics right now are playing with their food in the regular season. It was like the LeBron era of the Cavs. It was like the teams in recent memory. They win a championship.
That's what
they bored.
They turn it on when they want to turn it on, and they're going to lose some regular season games where you say, how the hell did they lose that game? I'm not overlooking or
I mean, this is a JB.
That's
vintage JB. That's what they do. Bickerstaff. But to the early point, what's more important to me than Homer Road is what Evan Mobley does with Kristaps Porzingis, because Porzingis missed that playoff series last year, and when Evan went nuts, and Kristaps had him in a pretzel the last time they played.
That's what if he was going to ask me what was the biggest thing I was looking at this game, that matchup is what I have to see.
Yeah.
Like I say, Evan, I think he was caught off guard because they said that he played in the first game, but Kristaps was just coming back from his injury, so he in rare form. He back in the full form right now, and Evan, I think it caught him off guard. So Evan better have an answer tonight.
I can't remember.
Or Friday, excuse me.
But didn't he get into early foul trouble? Like, Evan had like 2 fouls probably within like the first 4 or 5 minutes of the first quarter or something like that.
I don't remember. Last time they played?
Yeah.
He was coming off the calf injury. So it was his first game.
He got pushed around.
Yeah, he looked timid. In the first 3 possessions of the game, I believe he got blocked twice by Porzingis, his first 2 shot attempts, and then never really went up strong. But I will say in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 games, whatever the stretch has been for the Cavs, Mobley is going at the rim and attacking with zero conscience, like absolutely fearless. And they're going to need that against Porzingis and the Celtics come Friday.
Be a fun game. Mikey, what else you got?
Give me 1 sec because our guest is upstairs. So you guys got to filibuster for 20 seconds here. So give me 1 sec.
We was really doing the whole emotional getting and
for no reason.
For no reason.
For no reason.
No reason. That's gotta be.
I got a fact.
All right, that was my bad. Hands up. Listen, we can't all be perfect. I did film breakdowns yesterday. I got a telestrator working.
Why you not going to join today? Oh, you said you're on a plane? You got to fly somewhere?
He going to Europe.
He's going to Europe.
I'm going to Europe tomorrow.
Why?
My wife's sister's husband is stationed in Wiesbaden. He's in the Army. It's my brother-in-law, but it's my wife's sister.
Yeah.
So we have not been to see them ever.
Oh, you going on vacation?
Yes. 10 days. We're doing 4 or 5 days in Germany, and then we're doing 4 or 5 days in Paris.
Thomas, we can talk vacation. We got 2 topics we got to get in before our guest. So let me get a read in. Let's get to our 2 topics
told
here,
us to
guys.
filibuster.
He definitely did.
Filibuster. I sent the text. Ant's going to get Cayleigh Griffin, who will join us at 12:30. But when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for bigger payouts, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So the salary cap jumped. We know that. And then Mary Kay wrote an article yesterday, and there was an interesting quote from the Mary Kay article. Steve, you want to take tagboard full here. Mary Kay was talking about Myles Garrett and said he, being Myles Garrett, is also open to signing a blockbuster extension, which would likely make him... Barry said that. Barry, sorry, yes. Barry on Myles Garrett. Barry also open to signing him to a blockbuster extension, which would likely make him the highest paid defensive player in the NFL at about $40 million a year. If the Browns came to Myles, guys, and said, we will make you the highest paid non-quarterback in football. Right now, the highest paid non-quarterback in football is Justin Jefferson at $35 million per year annually. That's crazy. If the Browns made Myles the highest paid non-quarterback in football, Tyvis, do you think he would reconsider signing with Cleveland?
Listen, I know. Listen, I understand that winning is important. It is. But if I'm going to lose and I'm going to make some money, it's hard to turn that down. I have $40 million a year. It's hard to say no to $40 million a year. I tell you what, if they throw that contract on the table, this will be the test of all tests. If Myles says, I still want to be traded, then the Browns just need to go ahead and just blow it. Something ain't right, and they need to blow the whole thing up. But if he like, you know what? We had a good defense, and with a good defense, we made some things happen. We get us a decent quarterback. Maybe we can. For me, the money gonna make me move every time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, my boy Brandon Browner. Shout out my boy Brandon Browner. He just got out of jail. Brandon Browner told me when I was a rookie, in Seattle, he said, "Listen, hey, young buck. The money gonna make me move every time, man. These owners be sitting there getting all this money. These coaches be leaving for other jobs. So you think when another team come with a better offer, yes, I'm leaving every time. Ain't no loyalty or none of this stuff. So with that being said, if they giving him $40 million,
man, they throw $40 million a year on the table.
Where do I sign?
Listen, they throw that much money on the table and Myles don't take it. Myles a damn fool, right? Because the NFL stands for not for long, and so that goes along with the money too.
Right? Buy some more stock
I definitely believe that Myles is 100% serious about winning, but I also believe that he's 100% serious about getting his bag as well. You're talking about $40 million a year, where in a sport, your career can take a significant change. With one wrong move, one wrong play, it can be over with, and then your max earning potential will never be the same ever again. And we see this throughout the NFL all the time, Jason. All these players talk about wanting to win the Super Bowl and prioritizing winning, but yet we see guys become free agents and go sign with teams that's not even close to becoming a Super Bowl contender. So at the end of the day, like, Myles has already shown that he's willing to change his mind. Right? He clearly was a guy that was all locked in on Cleveland before, and then things didn't go right. Now he's open to being traded. If the Browns do something to appease him, whether improve the roster or put that type of money in front of his face, then he'll be brought back in and the conversation will change real quick. But I'm with Tyvis, man. Anytime you're talking about that amount of money in this particular league, the money going to win every single time.
Here's the problem with all of this. I hear everything you guys are saying. Here's the problem from the Browns' perspective. They learned nothing from the Deshaun Watson disaster. Jimmy Haslam learned nothing from Watson. What did they do with Deshaun? What did Deshaun tell him?
No.
He told him no. What did Jimmy say?
Put a zero.
Here's another zero.
No, that's
Here's
not.
another zero.
That's not what happened.
Here's another zero.
That's not what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
What happened was he said, we'll fully guarantee it. And he said,
Mama, we going to Cleveland.
Jimmy Haslam tries to solve all of his problems by throwing money at them.
I said,
and that's not how you solve all of the problems. And money's a very
I
important.
said that like 2 months ago.
Money is very important, but you can't solve all of your problems. You can't build a healthy culture in an organization by trying to outspend everybody. They've been doing that. How long have they been doing that? How's it going for them? How's that working out? That's not how you do it. When somebody tells you no, listen to them. That's what I said. That should have been the big lesson coming out of Deshaun. When Deshaun told them no, and they came up with this offer to get him to reconsider, he told you he didn't want to be here. And you dragged him here anyway by just throwing a ton of money at him. Myles has told you he doesn't want to be here. Now, Myles is underpaid and he's worth a new contract. He is. But under the deal he's under, he's got 2 years left on this deal. Mm-hmm. So this is just the way that it goes. The time will come where Myles should be rewarded for his play on the field, and he should get a new deal. But when you try and solve all of the world's problems by throwing money at it, I was talking to a coach from another team, a successful team in Indy. And
a successful team in Indy?
At the Combine in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say.
No. I was talking to an assistant coach from a team that would be considered by NFL standards a model for, like, this is a good team. This is the type of team that you want to model
Minnesota
your team
Vikings.
after.
Let's go.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And he said if Jimmy came and spent 2 weeks with us, he would throw up at the amount of money that he spends, and it all goes to waste. Because the guy I was talking to is like, we don't have anything close to what the Browns, what he provides in terms of, but it's almost too much. Like, and the thing that you hear all the time is there's so many layers. There's so many layers in Bria. There's so many, like, John Harbaugh made it a point to say at the podium, the Browns have 24 people in their analytics department. 24. I was just like straw poll, asking a couple other teams, like, how many people do you have in the analytics department? Most of the time it was like 5 to 8. Browns have 24. The Browns, I'm not going to say the number of people that they took to Indy because the way it was told to me, it may have been sarcastic. It was absurd. It was into the 3 figures, the amount of people that I was told that they brought to Indianapolis. Now, again, it may have been a sarcastic flippant number, but the point was the Browns bring way more people to this thing than anybody else. But it's not always about the numbers. Then you have too many voices and too many opinions and too many people that want to do this or that or that. You can't solve all of your problems by just throwing money at it. And Jimmy Haslam has not learned that yet. He is so desperate to win. I know he wants to win so badly. But it goes back to the culture that you set. And it goes back to the organization. It's not just about how much money you can spend and how many zeros you can put on the check. And that just feels to me like this is just another example. And maybe Myles will take the money. But where did that get them with Deshaun?
You know what? Put the camera on me, Steve. What Jason just said was unbelievable. Before, Jimmy, you decide to listen to Jason, this kid that's on your radio staff that you need to throw a little bit more money at. Let's say you don't jump off the ship now. Like, hold on now. Jason is unbelievable. What he said might be true, but wait until after I negotiate my deal. And then you can, listen to what Jason had to say. I appreciate everything that you do for me. Go Browns.
To Jason's point, you can't throw money at everything and think you're going to solve all your problems. It goes back to what we talked about in the first segment or the second segment.
Yep.
This is a man and an ownership group who clearly doesn't value relationships, right? And it's just like if you out here in the dating world, you could tell when you dating somebody that's just for right now or a real woman, right? Right now, you could just throw a few dollars at them, keep them up out your hair, keep them off your back, see them every now and then, and it's cool. But if you dating somebody that's real, a woman that got their own money, this, that, and the third, they don't care about how much money, you know what I'm saying, you throw at them. They care, but they don't. Like, you know what I'm saying, they don't want to spend their own bread, but they really care about that time, that attention. They care about all that other stuff. And this is how Jimmy Haslam comes off. As a dude that's just going to keep throwing money at every single issue without putting substance. You got it. Yeah, but you ain't putting substance in nothing, right? And when you trying to win a championship and the only ingredient you got is greenbacks, you really further away than what you think you are. It comes off like the Browns are trying to buy a championship and everybody else in the NFL is telling you like, yeah, money matter, but it only go but so far.
Nobody spent more money on the roster last year than the Browns. In actual
I
cash dollars spent.
I hear what y'all are saying. So basically, you two, if you was Myles, you tell them to go fly a kite.
No, I'm telling Myles to take the money.
Hey, Myles going to get paid.
Okay, I wanted to be on record here.
No, I'm saying take the money.
Jason, after all of this nice TED
Well,
talk,
there's two. I'm just saying there's two sides to it. There's the organization side and the player side.
That said, would Myles consider re-signing for $40 million if you were Myles Garrett?
It's hard to say no to that.
Okay.
But does that mean that that's where your heart is? And does that mean that that's what you want to do?
I do agree with Jason.
I'm one of those people that if you, I give you what you paid me.
What does Mike Tomlin say? We want volunteers, not hostages.
It's a great saying.
You got a hostage.
You
got a $40 million hostage, but he's a hostage nonetheless.
$40 million.
So he's not going to go out there and perform?
Listen, Myles Garrett on the field is a monster. He puts up terrific numbers. He's an incredible threat. My only point is you cannot solve all of your problems with money.
I don't disagree. I said that like 2 months ago. I said that was the difference between the Cleveland team.
And you got to have guys who are bought into being here, not because you're paying them more than anybody else is.
Well,
and that was the one thing that I think is, I'll take this back to the Cavs, is Kobe Altman has sort of flipped the roster here. Kobe made it clear early on, if you don't want to be here, we'll get you out of here. And at the time, because I looked at it as like, they kept, like, J.R. Smith gone, Andre Drummond gone, like all these guys, they just kept excusing them. But his point was, we want guys who want to be here. And to his credit, like, they've done it to where now people want to come play because of where this team is at, where this roster is at. I mean, signing Max Strus may not sound like a big deal. That was a big deal. To be able to get a free agent to sign, to come here on the mid-level like that. Like, Cleveland has always struggled to attract free agents, but they've done a nice job of turning this to where if you don't want to be here, we'll get you out of here. We want guys who want to be here.
I hear you, and I agree with that 1,000%. But the problem with that is the culture right now. I don't think nobody wants to be here.
No.
Like,
I said that yesterday.
You need to flip 53 guys.
But I said that yesterday. I mean, Myles has already asked for a trade. Joel Bitonio very clearly is strongly weighing retirement. Nick Chubb, when I was doing the hit from the Combine yesterday, I said, if you're Nick, I could totally see why he'd want to go test free agency and go elsewhere. You spent your whole career here. You haven't won anything.
Denzel made his comment.
You blew your knee out, and they took money from you, which from the team perspective, I think was the right. Like, there's two sides of this.
Oh, yeah.
From the business
is
you
ugly.
had to restructure that deal. If you're Nick, you're like, man, I just gave my all to this team. I went through this horrific knee injury, rehab myself, and you took money out of my pocket for it. Do you blame him for leaving?
No.
Or wanting to go?
No.
If he wants to go test the waters? I don't either.
The interesting thing
But
is,
you're talking about the franchise pillars. The pillars of this organization are built on Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, Nick Chubb. It's been that way for the last however many years.
Yeah, and they all want to leave.
And all of them are looking at themselves in the mirror going,
okay,
I don't know if I can do this again.
So how do you fix it?
It's
Start from the top.
It's a deeper conversation what we have time for.
Start from
and
the
that's
top.
not a cop-out. You have to cleanse and purge everything.
I agree.
Everything.
Start with Paul
That's
D.
a good
Podesta.
segue, Earl, to where we're going next, and I'll let you start with this. We're going to talk Cavs with Cayleigh Griffin here in 10 minutes. But a reminder, Bolden and Ultimate Guardian show this morning. Go check it out on our YouTube page. Him and Zach broke down the latest from spring training. Well worth your time, about 35 minutes of unfiltered Guardians content with the two best Guardian speakers in the entire Cleveland market. So check that out on our YouTube page. Earl, yesterday, and you can lead us off on this one, but Andrew Berry, when he was giving his press conference on Tuesday, alluded to the fact that Deshaun Watson is back rehabbing in Cleveland and is determined to play once again. Kevin Stefanski also said he's shown to be a quick recoverer, was his words, in terms of how quickly he can recover from certain injuries. In Mary Kay's article, she alluded to the fact that once again, Deshaun is determined to play again. Did Andrew Berry open up the door, Earl, for a possible Deshaun Watson comeback in 2025 or 2026, or is that door completely shut in your mind?
He ain't coming back next year.
He ain't coming back next year at all. If he come back in 2026, it won't be for the Cleveland Browns. I don't think there's nothing wrong at all with Deshaun Watson having this mental belief and this inner courage of wanting to rehab from this injury and resume his NFL career. It just won't be here in Cleveland. I think that people have to understand Deshaun Watson is still a part of this roster. And Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski is not going to do anything to kind of further compromise the integrity with said players, no matter what the performance is on the field. He's a part of this team, and they're going to speak positives about him like he's a part of this team. I think this is the politics in sports that, goes on in the media side of things. He wasn't going to come out and say anything but, positives about Deshaun Watson, in my opinion. He wasn't going to come out here and say that, he doesn't heal quickly, or Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play football again, or Deshaun Watson won't be in the plans. I think that's just not how professionals do things. This is just, crossing your T's and dotting your I's. He's a part of this team, and because of that, you're going to hear things like this come out. But as far as, opening up a door for a return, not with the Cleveland Browns. Not this year, not next year, not ever. That's done.
Tyvus.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back to the Cleveland Browns. I think they moved on from that. He definitely ain't coming back for this season. They got that insurance thing that they're going to get. So, yeah, he ain't coming back this season. You could cancel Christmas on that. And then in the year after that, I think really what will happen is it'll get to a point where, they will mutually agree to part ways. And I think for Deshaun and his mindset is that he wants to prove to people this was just a bad situation for him. Things just didn't work out here, but he's still a good quarterback. I think that's so. I get it from an athletic standpoint. Nobody wants to be like, yeah, I'm done, I'm cooked. Nobody want to do that. Everybody want to go out there, especially when you're young like that. He want to go out there and show people I'm still there. I can still be that guy. So. Yeah, I know Deshaun definitely wants to. The problem is, 31 other teams think that. 31 other teams give him an opportunity to come out there and try to be a quarterback again. That I don't know. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
He'll be 31 when he's healthy. He's 29 now. He's not playing. He'll turn 30 in September. So then he would turn 31 with a chance to play again, but it won't be here. Especially, how many times have we talked about this number 2 pick and taking a quarterback? You think they're going to take quarterback and number 2 pick and put him back out there?
No.
No. Absolutely no chance.
If they take the quarterback.
But if he has to tell himself that to get through this rehab process, I don't blame him.
I don't either.
Tell yourself whatever you have to tell yourself to get through.
I'm telling you what he's telling himself. Everybody think I'm a bum. Everybody think I'm done. People are he's never going to play another snap in the NFL. In his mind, he watch this.
Yeah.
I'm about to show y'all. I'm getting back.
Hey, whatever it takes.
And I don't have a problem with that. I would do the same thing. I just don't know if 31 other teams is going to say, let's roll the dice and give him a chance.
I don't know what other team in their right mind would bring him in just because of all of the baggage around him. Where at 31 years old, he hasn't been good since 2020. We're now going into 2026. We're talking about 6 years later. Mm-hmm. What NFL team is going to look and say he's worth all of the noise that comes with it for a guy that hasn't been good in 6 years?
The Jacksonville Jaguars did it with Tim Tebow.
Because even if you let's play the other side of the
for
court.
camp, and then they cut him.
So what? Then he got another opportunity.
Urban Meyer loved Tim Tebow.
He got maybe Dabo might go to the NFL.
The baggage is one side of the coin, the other side of the coin.
You just compared Tim Tebow to Deshaun Watson in terms of the character.
The other side of the coin.
They both
go ahead, Earl. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The other side of the coin is the one side is the baggage. The other side of the coin is this: Deshaun Watson has suffered a torn ACL.
Yep.
He's had the shoulder injury.
2 ACLs.
2 ACLs, the shoulder injury. The Achilles, etc. In the NFL, the NFL really stands for not for long. He's already doubled up on what the average playing time is for a career. He's already made more money than what the average player typically makes, right? And so when you look at the injuries, when you look at the age for when he's available to technically play again, nothing adds up to say that Deshaun Watson will be getting another chance. And I'm not even worried about the baggage. I'm not worried about anything else. It's just strip everything else away. This is the day-to-day business of the NFL. You got a quarterback that's 31 years old that had multiple injuries, season-ending injuries, in a league he's already defeated the salary earners and the playing earners times that said you should have been done a long time ago.
Nobody want to go down as the person that had the worst contract. Nobody does. So he's gonna fight that. Yeah, the problem is he has dealt with some injuries. With the shoulder thing, he looked like he lost some zip on his ball. You know, when you talk about an Achilles, the footwork was the number one thing that everybody always said. Like his footwork, his feet got quiet in the pocket. He didn't have live feet. Now you coming off of an Achilles injury, and you already didn't have good footwork to begin with. Now you got to focus on like that. It's a lot to overcome, but hey, if I'm him, I'd clip what I just said and replay it every day and try to prove it wrong. And I hope he does. I hope he does. Because I don't know how he'll be post-athletic career. So I want him to stay in there, make as much money as possible. I want every player to do.
But you know what, though? It's important that he approaches this rehab with the mindset that he has it just for the post-career aspect of it. You don't know how this might help him grow as a person, right? And start preparing him psychologically for life after the NFL. And so if he has this positive mindset, if he has his mindset right now of I'm going to attack this rehab, and that's making him feel better about himself internally, we don't know what's going to come from that on a personal side of things, right? Mm-hmm. Because even if it wasn't the injuries that we're talking about, he's nearing the end of his playing days because it's everything he's been through. Yeah. And so he's already got to prepare himself from that. So I just want to see him be, better as a human and better as a man. I can care less about the whole putting on the jersey thing again. Like, that's a wrap.
Yeah, it can't be here. We were talking last year. I would have said, like, they have to get him out of the locker room. I wrote the story about how guys were so.
Well, he's rehabbing here.
Okay, whatever. I'm not even paying that any attention whatsoever. But you just can't bring him back to this team. Period. Mike.
All right. We got our guest ready to rock, so let's bring in Cayleigh Griffin, Cavs studio host. A quick reminder as we get Cayleigh situated here that our comedy show is coming next month, March 28th, 9:30 at Pickwick and Frolic, a.k.a. Hilarities, on East 4th. If you want to see some bad jokes, some good jokes, some chaos, Bull's going to do a routine. Ant's going to get up on stage. I'll get back up on stage. Jason will FaceTime in from Europe. All the above, or from the owners' meetings, all the above. Make sure you get your tickets. The link to tickets is in the chat. So make sure you get those tickets. All the money goes to charity, and it will be a very fun time at Hilarities on March 28th.
I wonder if I could fly in Saturday morning.
Wait a minute.
I'll have to check.
Is Jay Crawford going to be there?
Jay will be there.
But
we can talk comedy show later. We got a guest now, Tyvis.
Well,
we got a guest.
This man.
I'm telling
he puts stuff on the screen that we're not allowed to talk about it. He tells us to filibuster. We start bustering the filler, and then he yells at us.
Hi, Cayleigh.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks
Cayleigh
for having
Griffin.
me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. Cavs.
Discuss.
Where do we start?
I got a question.
Yeah.
48-10, when you look at the Cavs record, right, ahead of the big matchup tomorrow against Boston, what key factors do you think has been the most attributing to where we are right now at this point in the season?
Number one, Kenny Atkinson. I think when you look at this team as a whole, besides obviously right after the trade deadline, it was the same exact team that the Cavs had a season ago that went 48-34 at the end of the regular season. They hit 48 wins now through 58 games. Remarkable. Credit goes all around the organization. It starts with ownership. Dan Gilbert, who has continued to give this team what it needs to succeed. Time and time again, he's not afraid to go into the tax. Like Kobe said, going into the trade deadline, we have the new facility that's going to start being built. So credit there. Credit to the front office, who had this trust in what they built already, who was like, hey, people calling for changes within the team in the off season, and they said, no, we've got something here. We're building something. Let's have patience and having trust in what they already built. And then, it's Kenny. The system he brought in, the buy-in from the players. It takes a special group to be in the NBA and say, hey, I will sacrifice my minutes. I will sacrifice my contributions. If that means we're going to win games. Donovan Mitchell is averaging the lowest points per game since the 2019-20 season right now. His minutes are the lowest of his entire career. And that's an all-star starter who's doing that. So there's a total buy-in from the team, but it's also Kenny Atkinson who brought in a system who has worked so hard over the last few years since his last head coaching job with the Brooklyn Nets to shape himself as a coach, whether it was with the Clippers and Ty Lue, whether it was with Steve Kerr, working with the French national team, building this kind of player-coach mentality that's really allowed him to thrive with this group.
So I'll ask you the question Earl really wanted to ask you. Why is Ty Jerome the greatest Cav to ever put on a uniform?
Well, that's a great question.
When
I was trying to save that for the last one.
Yeah.
I was trying to save that one, but go ahead.
There is, I honestly, true, like all jokes aside, Ty Jerome might be the best story in the NBA.
I completely agree.
We were talking earlier. I haven't checked in the last couple as of a couple weeks ago. His PER was basically the same as Donovan, who makes $35 million a year.
It's higher than Steph Curry's.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
I don't know that anybody is really sure.
Does Ty Jerome know where this came from?
I don't know. I mean, I assume that Ty is the one person that has had confidence in himself all along that knew this was possible. But Kenny Atkinson 2 games ago in his post-game press conference, someone asked him, did you see this in Golden State? And he was like, no. He was completely honest. Yeah. And I respect Kenny so much because he's very blunt in his media and says how he feels, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. And he would have been lying if he said, yeah, I saw this, because no one saw this. No. So it's a credit to Ty Jerome and the work he's put in, because I think there was probably a general consensus of most of us being like, what are the Cavs doing last year when he missed the entire season? They see something in him that we just aren't sure of, because throughout his NBA career, no one saw this. So again, a credit to the front office for sticking with him, for believing in him, but also a credit to Ty Jerome, who obviously has put in a tremendous amount of work. And Jason, you know, coming into the season, Kobe and Kenny were both saying, hey, he had the best summer of any player on this team. And you take that with a grain of salt at the beginning of the season, because, some guy can look really great during off-season workouts, but is that going to translate onto the court? I don't know. But obviously it has in a tremendous way.
Hand up when they said that, because I famously said 8 games into the season, well, if they need to get under the tax, they could just dump Ty Jerome on a team. And when they said that, he had a great September. I'm like, oh, see, they're already trying to build his trade position. So they could dump Ty Jerome at the trade deadline and get under the luxury. Well, no. They were telling you the truth.
And now they're going to have to find a way to pay him in the offseason, because he's on a 2-year, $5 million contract. Yeah. I looked it up the other day because I was so curious to see what he's making. Obviously, probably the biggest steal, biggest bargain in the NBA right now.
Question.
Yeah. So there's going to be some work to be done. Now I think they position themselves in a pretty good spot for him to want to stay here now that DeAndre Hunter's on the team, his best friend, someone he's won a championship with. Obviously, the goal is to compete and hopefully win a championship this year. So if all those things come together, I can't see why Ty Jerome wouldn't want to stay.
Mike and I have talked about this. I think we talked about it on the podcast. I think we talked about it on the show. The Cavs could wind up being a victim of the cap with him, or a victim of the CBA, because they can only offer him so much per year.
Correct.
And there are other teams out there who can offer him more. This is a problem for the offseason. Obviously, nobody cares about this right now. But as you're trying to keep this core together, it'll be interesting to see what he does, because he will have lucrative offers from, what do we say that the...
I don't think so, I'll be honest.
You don't think you don't think another team would go more than...
There's not teams with cap space that need starting guards. Like the Nets have the most money in an open starting spot.
So are the Cavs going to offer him 4 for $40?
I think it'll be 4 for like 45-ish, give or take, with early bird rights, and the Nets can offer 4 for $60, and it's going to come down to does Ty Jerome want to be a starting point guard for more money on a team that has no potential future, or stay in Cleveland with his best friend DeAndre Hunter, a championship caliber roster, a head coach that believes in him to the maximum extent, and a general manager in Kobe Altman who had targeted him in the draft when he came out and has loved him ever since.
I think he's going to stay.
I don't think they're giving him 4 years.
I think he's going to stay. I think he gets that Deli Anderson Varejao type of love, but he's like a 10 times better player, right?
Just so you know, Deli left for more money.
That's what I was like. I be sitting here like,
but
y'all really gonna sit here.
Not my boy Ty.
What was the
not my boy
4 for
Ty.
60? No, it'll be interesting. Now, he's from New York, too. So that'll be, I mean, we are going so far. We have no idea what's going to happen. But, that'll play into it if that really comes into fruition. The rumors are already starting that the Nets are going to want to trade for KD. I see all these things coming together. So who knows? Obviously, I think it's safe to say that we all hope that Ty Jerome stays in Cleveland.
For right now, they are locked and loaded with this roster certainly with Ty on this team through this playoff run.
Where are you at on the starting rotation? Because there's like a whole discrepancy of should it be Max Strus or should it be Hunter? Where are you at on that?
I think I like DeAndre Hunter off the bench.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to switching it. But I think that he has this whole season come off the bench in Atlanta. He is a front runner for Sixth Man of the Year. He's averaging the most points in his career coming off the bench. I think we're starting to see him figure out his role on this team, which he was, the first few games, he's taken a minute trying to see how he fits. I think him having the ability to come in and play with Ty gives him a boost because he's very comfortable playing alongside of him. And I'm not opposed to playing with the starting lineup in terms of, I think we've seen Kenny do that this season where it's been Isaac, it's been Dean, based off of matchups, because I think sometimes Dean Wade serves a better purpose in the starting lineup just to give them some length and size. Even potentially might see that tomorrow against Boston. I'm curious to see how it all plays out, but I think DeAndre Hunter gives them a nice offensive punch off the bench too that they could really use now that they've lost Karis LeVert and George Niang, who Twitter just rips everyone apart, but those two were both of them provided offense off the bench that they now lose. So I think having DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome come off the bench gives them a spark offensively that they need. And I don't think they need the scoring in the starting lineup. You already have the core four that all four of them need to score. That DeAndre Hunter also kind of needs to score for this team. So it's almost better that they have somebody that can accept the role of being the guy who I'll score when the ball comes to me if I have a moment, yes, but doesn't need to score. Yeah. And I think they need DeAndre Hunter to score.
I like the length of Wade and Hunter in the starting lineup and Strus off the bench. But whatever. I mean, listen, everything they're throwing out there is working right now. And it is interesting to look at what they do now and what they do. I mean, it could change. That's the one spot that could change. It's matchup dependent in the playoffs, depending on who if you're facing Boston. DeAndre Hunter very well may be starting, or Dean Wade for that length against JT and Jaylen Brown. If it's a team like, I don't know, Orlando's not a great example. Yeah, if it's the Pacers, it very well could be Max Strus. So we'll wait and see.
During the playoffs, traditionally lineups, the rotation, they tend to shrink. But, we've all talked about how you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, everybody plays, everybody eats, everybody's involved. And it's this buy-in because everybody knows they're going to play and get their opportunity to shine. Is there any chance that Kenny goes untraditional and sticks what he's been doing all year come playoff time? I
think it'll shrink. He's kind of said it. He's kind of alluded to it that as the season, we get down to the nitty-gritty of the last couple weeks of the season, that he's going to have to shorten the rotation a little bit. I think we now know, though, as we've seen the season play out, that they have the ability to throw a lot of those guys in at any point, which is obviously going to be a luxury to them if they ever get into foul trouble, or there are situations where maybe Sam Merrill gets red hot. You got to play him. Like, that's something that can happen. But Kenny has kind of alluded to over the last, I would say, 2-3 weeks that, we are going to have to shorten up the lineup a little bit now because it's just not realistic to probably play 11, 12 deep. You just don't see that. So, but I could see him playing still 10 guys pretty consistently. He has done it all season. I still think he is going to shorten up. And we even saw it, I think it was the Memphis game. He predominantly played 7 to 8 guys. Now, he ended up towards the end, mixing some guys in, 6 minutes here, 8 minutes there. But it was the starting 5 with Hunter, Ty, and I don't even remember who the other one was, but it was shortened up where the most of the minutes got down to about 8 guys.
I got to ask you about AC because I see the TikTok dancing.
Oh, yes.
How did you get him to dance?
And
what is your best AC story?
Unbelievably, you would think that I'm forcing him to dance, but it's actually the other way around now. As everyone knows now, Austin has kind of taken over the role of the pregame analyst with me. And I think there was a little hesitancy. Obviously, he's very comfortable calling games. It's what he's done for his entire career. But he's done a masterful job of coming on pregame. It gives him more time to really expand, get his thoughts out, show his personality, and I've really enjoyed it. But I think at the beginning of the season, I sensed a little hesitancy of him trying to get adjusted to the role. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to build some excitement about this show. So I am not a TikToker, but I was like, I'm going to see if I can get him to do some of these trends just to get him onto it. And who could have predicted us start at 15-0? So I think it was when we were 4-0. I just got him to do a little dance, and it started to pick up steam in Cleveland like crazy. And people were calling him, texting him, being like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe, this is awesome." And so then he was like, "We got to keep doing it." And it has obviously taken on a life of its own. Again, never would have expected us to be 48-10.
Right.
So it's kind of become this victory dance where people on Twitter, we won't even have started our post-game show and people will be like, "Where is the dance?" And I'm like, we have to do a show first. we have to do our job. So I will tell you, as soon as the game starts, he's like, "Do you have any ideas? Any ideas for a dance tonight?" So AC has gotten really into it. I will say I have kind of lost a little fuel in terms of coming up with the dance. Now it is hard, right? I have to find things that people are interested in, but that he can execute. And we don't really practice. We kind of just do it on a whim at the end. Yeah. So I've saved like 3 more dances that I've saw that we'll hopefully do in the next few games. But yeah, it's got to be something that he can actually do too.
Keep him on TikTok and off Twitter. He's
I got one.
Yes. TikTok.
I'll show you after this interview. We're gonna give AC a big extra plug dance to do.
There we go.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. So everything has been good about the Cavs this year. What is going into the playoffs? What's the one thing that you haven't seen yet from the Cavs that could scare you?
I think it's just the experience, and I think we've talked about this. I've talked about it with Austin. I've talked about it with some of our producers. Is think about how long it took Boston to get to winning a championship. They were in those situations multiple years, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, getting to the finals.
That's LeBron's fault.
LeBron's fault. It's a bunch of other teams' faults too, but it was.
He's been in the West for 8 years.
For a long time, it was LeBron's fault.
For a long time, it was LeBron's fault, but as of late, it took them a while to get over that hump. They had to take some losses, so I think this is still a really young team, but I think just them having the experience the last 2 years, obviously the Knicks series, they're still reminded of it. We talked about a few games ago when they played the Knicks. The Orlando series was on their mind, and they remember what happened in Boston. So I think they're a little ahead of the schedule in terms of the in-season success that they've had. But I think just time will tell based off of playoffs is a completely different beast, and for a lot of these guys, this will be their 3rd time in the playoffs for Darius, for Evan, for a lot of these guys. So. I think it's almost a time will tell sort of thing. It's just a different atmosphere in the playoffs, and they're going to have to learn on the fly. But Kenny has done a really good job of putting them in different situations throughout the regular season to prepare them. He wanted to switch up rotations to see how they react. He wanted them to face adversity in a number of different ways so that they're prepared when they experience that in the playoffs. But there's ultimately, you can't replicate what the playoffs are. Right. So I think, it's just a time will tell.
Well, in case you aren't busy enough with the Cavs, now you're also adding Guardians to your plate for the summer. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm not doing a ton, like 25 games, which I'm really excited about.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's still a lot. But in the perspective of a 162-game season, it's really not that much. I'll be splitting hosting and reporting duties. Honestly, when it came out, I think I was nervous about the reception because people get so used to their broadcast team, and it's just to give Andre and Al a few games, a few series in the season, which they haven't really had as of recently. So it's just to, give them some time to take a weekend off and enjoy. But my previous job in Houston, I did a lot of baseball filling in as a field reporter and host. So I did about 70 games in the summer down there. So I'm excited to do 25 will be good just to get out there. I'm used to working in a dome, so being outside will be new. But yeah, it should be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Can't beat summer nights in Cleveland. Honestly.
That's a fact.
That's true.
June, July, and August, that's the best time to be.
Wasn't you there for the eclipse?
I was. Yeah. That was cool. That's like one of the coolest pictures I've ever taken. I can't take pictures, but you can't screw that one up. Like, it just point and shoot.
Yeah, that was epic.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm glad you got to experience that.
Well, you experienced it too.
Not at Progressive Field though.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's in the backyard.
That was cool.
I look right up at it.
You look directly at the sun?
Yeah.
Good job, Ty.
That's just,
Hopefully you had those glasses on.
Well, so this is the thing. I apologize, fans, but I gotta explain.
Every
this.
time he goes
I
through
wasn't.
thing,
I wasn't all the way sure of the whole situation.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Got it.
Like, to see the eclipse,
Yes.
I had to wear the glasses.
Right.
I thought like I could just look up and I'd see the whole thing. So when I looked up, I'm like, it looked like the sun. And then they was like, give me the glass. I put it on, and I seen it. I said, okay.
You're lucky to burn your eyes out.
You
My
know, the
God.
thing is, everybody's worried about. I wanted to defeat science.
Okay,
Yeah.
You talked about the experience, and I remember yesterday I was just riding and I was thinking about the Cavs. And, you got Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter, who's won a national championship together. So to a degree, you got some championship experience there. You got Kenny Atkinson, who's won a championship as an assistant with Steve Kerr and the Warriors. You got Tristan Thompson on this roster that's an OG and one of the most historical NBA championships to ever be won in history. And then you got the guys like, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, who's been through the gauntlet together and then came up short. And so when she talks about the experience piece, maybe it's my bias or my optimism, but I think they've been through the storm and the fire, and they have guys who have won championships and know what it takes. Everything is right there for the Cleveland Cavaliers to take this year and become NBA champions. Got a long way to go, got to stay healthy, but, just hearing you talk about that, it made me think about, well, you got some guys on the staff and on the roster that can kind of help, lay out that blueprint of what it's going to take to get to where we're trying to get to by Father's Day.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Donovan also has a real chip on his shoulder because I feel like throughout his career he has been doubted by so many people saying he can't be the guy. And I think his unselfishness this year and total buy-in, he will take over a game when he needs to, whether it has to be to set the tone at the beginning of a game, whether it has a game winner at the end of the game. Like, he has an uncanny ability to read what's happening, and I think he is going to be obviously the head of the snake for this group. I think they have the pieces. I think I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's game. Obviously, it's the last time that the Cavs will play the Celtics in the regular season. They played them right before the trade deadline, and I think it was ultimately a spark that kind of spiraled into what we saw the Cavs do at the trade deadline with potential injuries. Do they have enough length? Do they have enough size? Should they go after a wing? And they did. So I think this will be a good test. I don't love that the Celtics lost to the Pistons by 20 last night. That gives me a little hesitancy. Now, Jaylen Brown did not play, but I have a gut feeling he's going to play tomorrow. It should be interesting. It should be I think we'll get a real test of where this team is.
DG plays tomorrow, you think?
I think he will. I think Kenny said after the game he missed it against Memphis that he was not concerned. He thought it might be a one-game thing. Maybe they would be cautious, and they kept him out against Orlando. So I think Darius will play. But if they want to be cautious, maybe they don't. But Kenny kind of alluded to that after the Memphis game.
What do you think needs to have the bigger game for that Boston series? Is it more Evan or is it more Darius? I know, right? Stumped her. Yes.
I tend to go Evan.
Okay.
I think we know what Darius can do. Obviously, we know what Evan can do too, but I think this year has been Evan's breakout year. So for Evan to have big games against the biggest opponents is something that we're really looking for in terms of the growth of his game. Obviously, Boston has a lot of size too, so I think that presents its own challenges for him in terms of how he can match up with their physicality, whether it's Horford, whether it's Porzingis, Tatum. I think Evan having a big game against the Celtics is something that everyone will look for.
I agree with you.
Cleveland State on the road tonight, Wright State, and home for senior night, right?
Yes.
Saturday against Purdue Fort Wayne.
First of all, I just need to thank you guys for giving Cleveland State love throughout the season because not everybody in Cleveland gives them love, so I appreciate that. They're having a great year.
Yeah.
They are, they are looking for their 20th win of the season, which would be their 4th straight year, but 3rd straight with head coach Daniel Robinson. I do have a little bias. My husband's an assistant coach there, so I am locked in on the Vikes. But yes, they're playing on ESPN2 tonight at 9 p.m. Saturday is senior day. They've got 3 seniors, Chase Robinson, Tevin Smith, and Ibo Deba, who have played such a huge role in this team's success this year. They're still fighting for the regular season title, which It doesn't mean as much anymore because it used to mean you'd go to the NIT automatically. Now they took that away. So that kind of stinks for a team like someone in the Horizon who that means a lot.
Why would they take that away?
Well, they got this crown thing.
Yeah,
now.
I saw that. They've got all these different tournaments
it's the
now.
Big East, Big 10, and Big 12.
Yeah, there's the NIT. There's so many things going on, but they took that away. So that kind of loses a little bit of what you're fighting for in the regular season. But yes, if you go to this link, 50% of tickets go to the Gathering Place, which is it's a business that helps families that are dealing with cancer within their family. So it's promoting a good cause, but also supporting the Cleveland State men's basketball team this weekend against Senior Day. Their last regular season game at home, but they will play next week. Thursday, they'll host a quarterfinal of the Horizon League tournament, which I can't believe we're already talking about March Madness. Horizon is obviously the earliest one. They play first. So, yeah, next week, Cleveland State will be in the Horizon League tournament. So, yeah, it's exciting. I am getting my basketball fill now, and I obviously love supporting Cleveland State. It's fun for me to not be working. I just turn off my mind and watch the game as a fan, which is fun.
This Saturday, March 1st, 3 o'clock, Wolstein Center. Follow that link and fill the place up. It'd be fun to support those guys for a great year heading into the Horizon League tournament.
Yes.
Cayleigh, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
We'll watch for you tomorrow night on the pregame show, and then all summer long, or 25 times.
25 times.
This summer with the Guardians.
Appreciate it.
Cayleigh Griffin, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Cayleigh. Guys, while we get Cayleigh out of here, a quick reminder that if you're not a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, it takes one click to become a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We have two different tiers. Starter tiers is just $1.99 a month. It gets you loyalty badges, custom emojis, and members-only community posts. If you become a coaches tier member, it is just $5 a month. It gets you all the same perks as the starters tier, plus daily overtime videos, discount codes for merch, and much, much more. So if you want to become a member and support the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, go ahead, click the join button on the YouTube homepage, and we will see you for overtime very soon. We're going to wrap up today's show with some super chats. The first one comes from Salvatore the 216, who says, "It's official. The great Spencer Davies has finally bestowed upon the rightful nickname. Evan Mobley is the Sleek Freak." Thoughts on the Sleek Freak nickname?
I don't like it. And I know Spencer. Spencer, you better than that, brother. You are better than that. No, we're not doing that.
The Sleek Freak.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't love it, but
Ty?
I'm at a loss for words right now.
Earl's out here messing around.
Earl's
man, during
crazy.
Super Chats.
I missed something.
Earl crazy, boy. Oh, my God.
Well,
Good God
the next
almighty.
two super chats are Earl specific. So, Earl,
Lock
you ready?
in.
You locked in?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, Salvatore the 216 says, "God bless you, Earl. The whole city has your back." And Eddie says, "I lost my mom at 18 and my dad was never in my life. Toughest thing I ever had to do. Earl's got the strength to carry on. Much love to UCSS and the crew."
Yep. I love
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Shout out to Eddie.
Next super chat. Yeah, shout out Eddie. Shout out Salvatore too. Chris Fox says, "Deshaun Watson is our Cam Ward. Just watch the film."
What?
He's saying that they play similarly. Their styles of play is similar, which a lot of people have pointed
Yeah,
out.
they've used that player comparison a lot. So, like, that's
Not
what I'm saying. Like, if the Browns was in a
Not
position
the
to take,
off the field stuff.
yeah, like if they was in a position to take a Cam Ward, it wouldn't surprise me.
They're saying that if you get Cam Ward,
It's Deshaun Watson.
it'll look just like Deshaun.
Houston.
I took that as you don't need Cam Ward, you have Deshaun Watson.
No.
I think he was saying the play styles are
Play
similar.
style,
I think Jason, you misinterpreted that one.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Next super chat comes from Christopher Waits, who said, "Those of us in 22 who said Watson wasn't worth it and the Browns should keep Baker and draft better receivers were treated worse than Barbra Streisand on South Park."
Wait, say that again.
Those of us in 22 who said Watson wasn't worth it and the Browns should keep Baker and draft better receivers were treated worse than Barbra Streisand on South Park, which the director Steve got a good chuckle at.
And if Baker was still here, we'd be having the conversation, is he good enough to ever lead them into the playoffs, which is a better spot than they're in now. No question.
I was in the worst situation.
No question. But they still wouldn't be a Super Bowl contender.
I wanted Baker Mayfield #1 overall, and then I also wanted the Browns to trade for Deshaun Watson. So, you know,
well, you got your wish.
I was in a lose situation.
You got your wish.
I wanted them to work it out.
Who, them and Baker?
Yeah, I wanted him to work it out. I just thought it was unfair. I was like, I would have gave him another year healthy to see what happens.
When you stop taking the calls from the head coach and the owner.
He was just too damn stubborn at that time,
Hey,
man.
I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah. Like, if they could have worked it out, I would have been all for it.
I think if both sides could get in the time machine and go back, for knowing what they know today, I think they would have at least ran it one more year.
I wonder if Myles has now stopped taking the calls with the head coach and the owner, because that's what helped.
That's the new thing.
That's what helped get 6 out.
We got 3 minutes. Tyvis, are you going to the Red Wings Blue Jackets game at Ohio Stadium on Saturday?
I am going. I'm credentialed.
Do you know who gets credentials?
Media members?
No,
Media members?
Ex-football players.
Media members.
Media members.
Why would an ex-football player get a credential to a
says
hockey game?
Game day services.
You are a media member.
Game day services.
Media members get credentials. I didn't know that was happening. When is that?
Saturday at 6 p.m.
Are you excited, Ty?
Hey, I've never been to a hockey game before, so.
They're fun.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
It's expected to be the second largest crowd in NHL history.
How many? It's not a sellout. They didn't sell that.
They
place
expecting like 60,000 maybe.
out. Okay, well that's like half.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not gonna be 100,000. You crazy?
What's the weather supposed to be? What's the forecast for that? Yeah.
34 or something like that. Yeah,
That's football weather. Like, it's different. Yeah. Same thing.
Well, if Steve's text is correct and they're expecting the second largest crowd ever, the largest hockey attendance ever was the Big Chill at the Big House, which had 113,000. So they packed the Big House.
Maybe it was 90,000 I seen.
90,000 would make it the third biggest.
I ain't.
The second was the 2014 Winter Classic with 105,500.
If 100,000 is in there, I good for them.
Hey, G. Bush is in there with all of our wonderful UCSS fans. He said, "What you going to a hockey game for, fam?"
Who?
G. Bush. You went over.
First of all, Garrett, I'll have you know that I work on Saturdays. Right? So, working for the radio station in Columbus, 12 to 3, I'm on site. And since I'm going to be down there, I said, well, heck, I might as well go check it out. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to stay the whole time, but I'm getting credentialed. I'm going to be there. It's free. Like, why would I not? Listen, as you being an African American, our favorite word is free. If it's for free, it's for TP. So, therefore, I'm gonna go check it out.
Hey, what was this thing that came? I know we're running out of time. What was this media beef between Rappaport and Schultz? Have you seen that?
Yeah, what is happening?
What is happening here?
Guys, the telestrator works!
Hey, this man got a new toy.
I wasn't even looking at this.
This why you can't give people stuff.
Oh, man.
We got a new toy on UCSS.
Get it off.
Hey, real quick before we get up out of here, Heather, Jason, and Romani at Sweetport Wilson's, man, where we hosted my mother's celebration of life. They did a phenomenal job of serving me and my family and everybody that was there with us, man, all the bartenders and everybody. Just thank you all. DJ, everybody, thank you. One final thank you from me to you. As I tell you all the time, man, be great and spread love. Being great come with a price, and spreading love is priceless.
Well said.
We'll see you in overtime. We're talking about a Browns curse in overtime that I found on TikTok. We'll see you then. Peace.